welcome to OSG Live, where we inspire you to fall in love with your business. Get set to join your hosts, Tanya, Becky, Kylene, and Aaron for your weekly motivation. It's time to share your wins, express gratitude, and choose positive changes. Jump into the comments and share your thoughts with the rest of the OSG community. Coming up, OSG Wellness Super Tools to nourish your mind and body, small business success gems to uncover hidden gems of business excellence, and the uncommon mindset to challenge the status quo. Your journey to success and happiness starts now.
Hello, happy Wednesday. I cannot believe it's Wednesday already. It's been an odd week with travel, but it's all good. I'm Tanya Deutscher with Gracie B. Doodle Designs, and I believe we can choose what we need as often as we need it.
Hello and happy Wednesday. I am Kylene Montgomery, and I encourage transformation through positive energy.
Okay, happy Wednesday. I am like out of sorts, guys. I am sorry. Happy Wednesday. I am Becky with BK Custom Tees, and I totally believe that it takes a village to run a business.
There we go. We've got our village here, so that's good. Well, I'm Aaron Montgomery. I'm with our success group, and we're here to inspire you to fall in love with your business, to fall deeper in love with your business. And today we're gonna we'll dive into it. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but let's say hello to some people that are tuned in here. We got Chuck. Good evening. Rena typed this, like it popped up as soon as you said hello and happy Wednesday, Kylene. That's why I popped it on the screen here. I was like, you said it, and then Rena's comment went up. I'm like, they're in the same wavelength.
Yeah, we are. I like it.
And then Karen, good hello. She says, hi, guys. And I'm saying good afternoon. So before I pass this over to you, Kylene, to talk to us about our superpower, I do want to encourage those that are tuned in live right now. If you get a chance, go and just share this with your friends on social media. Let's get some more people in here. I know with the travel and everything like that, we probably didn't get a chance to really share it to a lot of people. So we want to make sure that we're helping as many people as possible and just fall deeper in love with their business and just have that positive mindset, because we believe that a rising tide lifts all boats, and it's something I've been saying for years, and feels like we've got that groundswell behind it now finally. So I always felt like I was like this weirdo that would say that just on my own, and now I've got some other weirdos with me, I guess. So I don't know. Totally kidding, by the way. All right.
I'll take it.
Yep. So Kylene, I mentioned we've got a superpower that we can utilize, and it really is a great tool for us to, wherever you're at, right? Whatever the situation is, whatever, like Lou and I, our son Lewis and I had a little bit of a blow up the other night. I asked him to do something. I got a little sass back. I was kind of already in a bad mood when I got that sass back from him. And so he could tell that I was immediately pretty angry. And I just took a deep breath. I said, I'm very grateful. Internally, I said, I'm very grateful for him. And then I said, Lou, what are you grateful for? So anyhow, before I go too much further away, Kylene, share with us more details about our superpower.
All right. So that's a great example of how it can work and bring more positive energy, right? When we are grateful for something, we are in a state of abundance and we are looking for the good. We're training our mind to look for the good things that we have, appreciating the good things that we have. And what that does, it raises our vibration, and then it brings more positive energy to those around you and just has that ripple effect. It is our superpower because we all can access gratitude. We can all decide if we're going to appreciate the things that we have in our life. And so by you asking Lewis, in that moment where it just really could have escalated, guess what it did? It went down. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, I have a quick comment. I have a question, teacher. Can I?
Aaron, yes.
Thank you. One thing that I wanted to make also clear in that example, right, is we have to be careful, not careful, but just be aware, I guess is a better word to use, when we are going back to that gratitude, especially, in that example that I gave there, right? I don't want to be grateful for, I'm grateful that I didn't just kill him. Right. I don't want to attract the negative. Right. Okay. I'm grateful that I didn't. Right. So I want to think about the things that I'm grateful for, because even if it was like, I'm grateful that I didn't fly off the handle and say something that I regret. Right. But if you turn that around and you can look at, I'm grateful for my knowledge and ability in that moment to not blow it. Right. Like my ability to handle that situation. Right. As opposed to, again, focusing on the things that you don't want. Sometimes I call those like a backhanded gratitude, or that you might be familiar with a backhanded compliment, right? Where you're like, is that really a compliment? And so the same thing happens with gratitude. So anyhow, I just that.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing me to comment.
No, and I think that's, I'm glad that you expanded on that a little bit, because we can be grateful for those moments. We get to decide how we respond. And when we respond, your self-control, that's perfect, Karen. Yeah. When we respond in a certain way, that determines the outcomes that we're getting. And so if we match someone's energy and they're real heated, well, where do you think this conversation is going to go? Is it going to be that productive? Probably not.
Yeah.
And then it will escalate to a certain point. So in that moment, that's just really cool how powerful and how quickly you can change that state of mind when you start to look for the good that you have. That doesn't mean that difficult things are not going to happen. And it doesn't mean that challenges aren't going to be there. It's just a way for us to learn from that moment and appreciate the learning that happened, and continue to respond in a more positive way moving forward. So if you guys are listening, please share what you're grateful for. We love to start our shows that way because we want to bring as much positive energy as we can to all of us. So I will go ahead and start with what I'm grateful for. I am incredibly grateful for last weekend. I'm sure you guys will all say the same thing, but I'm first. It was just so awesome to get to meet people in person and connect at a deeper level. So just really grateful for all of that.
Yeah. Definitely. Real quick, I think we all kind of giggled at Terry's comment here, so that way everybody else can see it if you're not on Facebook over there. She says, I have my speaking voice and I have the voice in my head. Don't let the one in my head out. Yep, there you go. That's exactly it. And then real quick, sorry, we want to interact with people, so we'll go jump there real quick, and there'll be plenty of time for us to talk. So Jerry, hello, and Mo, good afternoon. All right, sorry, Tanya.
Okay.
What's something you're grateful for?
Well, last weekend, obviously, but more so today, because I didn't realize how much it was affecting me, is to get all of my lost files from my dead laptop onto a cloud server, all 50,000 of them. So I'm very grateful for talented people who can do that, and for cloud-based servers.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Don't be Tanya.
Yeah. All right, that's awesome. Becky, what about you?
Well, I'm going to grab Karen's
Oh, good. Thank you.
Comment here quick. She says, I'm grateful for the business I've enjoyed for nearly 30 years and the people I've connected with in the horse industry. That is awesome. And we got lots of messages coming in. I'm going to just keep going. So Rena says, I agree, but my problem is my face sometimes say more than my words, and I think that's me.
Well, we can talk about that in a second, but let's get the rest of the great. I do want to talk about that.
Mo says, grateful for number 3 out of 5 graduating high school. Enjoyed time with family that traveled to join the graduation celebration. That's wonderful.
Awesome.
Congrats,
and
Mo.
Jerry said, grateful that I still get invites from Aaron and the OSG lives. Well, good. We know Aaron's doing his part. So
I'm annoying people sending invites. Now it doesn't let me send as many as I used to too. So if you stop getting invites, it's not anything personal. You just do it. When you show up, I think it hits it first. So yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I wanted to say I am grateful for last weekend, being able to travel, my family allowing me to travel, everybody that pitched in, that village that pitched in for the background people in my life to allow me to travel. Like Kylene said, we had an amazing time. It was just so amazing. to connect in person, one-on-ones, you know, three trio groups that we worked on. I mean, I'm still processing. I came home and our travel day got long, so I didn't really just come home and jump in, but had to jump right back into all the things I was missing when I was gone. So my book is sitting in front of me, so I have homework yet to do, a few things that I still wanted to finish up and get a little bit more clear on. So that is... And I'm also very grateful for my UPS driver who walked in and then waited for my package to get ready. He told me 5:30 and he was here not at 5:30. So
awesome. Well, that's good. Good afternoon, Fab 4. Michelle says, good to see you on here, Michelle. We miss you. I miss you already. I miss all of you guys already, but
glad she made it home safe.
Yep. Okay. So what am I grateful for? Yeah. So I know we're all kind of like, again, Kylene got to go first, so she got to steal it, and we're all kind of talking about that. But I think if I can expand even further on that, maybe not expand, but just from my vantage point, what I'm so grateful for is that all of you guys, the people that were there, Michelle and Allison and Angela and Sarah, and as a group, as a community, as you say there, Becky, everybody played full out, right? Like we did some hard things. We legit did some hard things. We legit got into some feelings that, you know, maybe we weren't quite sure how that was going to go. I asked you guys to do some things that were going to make you guys a little bit uncomfortable, and never once did I get pushback on that. Right. We worked on some things. We said, okay, well, let's talk a little bit more about why. But the fact that everybody was willing to play full out, I'm just incredibly grateful for that, because I know at that point, right, that just makes me feel really secure in the fact that when people play full out like that, I've seen what happens, and all the things that we talked about in the Future You Party, it's going to look like that. You know, it might not be exactly how we thought it was going to happen, but I legit believe that every single person that was there is going to reach those things that they talked about in the Future You Party. So, and it comes from the willingness to play full out. So I'm just really grateful that in this inaugural Fundamentals Live, that was the group that showed up, and can't wait for where that all heads for everybody.
Absolutely.
Me too.
Let's see here. We got some more gratitudes to get in. So Michelle says, I'm so grateful for all of you and my husband for making the weekend happen. Yep. Grateful that you were there. Rena says, I'm grateful that I'm finally feeling better, but this week is kicking my butt trying to catch up. Yep. Sometimes being under the weather will do that. But you know, the work's still going to be there. The things that you have to get done are still going to be there. So just focus on the health, and then you'll get caught up when you need to. Terry says, I'm grateful that my 1.5-year-old puppy survived a medical emergency last week. That's great. I'm grateful that your puppy was strong enough to survive that medical emergency. Absolutely. Kim checking in. Hello, Kim. Good to see you. Okay, we did skip one question here.
I saw
it. Who wants to answer that?
Soon and very soon, right?
I like it. We're working on it.
Get you to commit to something, but
To be determined.
to be TBD. All right. Well, we'll work on that. So, who wants to kind of explain a little bit about what we're going to do a little bit differently today? Whoever, I don't know. Not me. How about that?
I will, because I wanted to say this is what I want to do.
Okay, perfect.
So today we are going to have a conversation. I've just been noticing that it seems like when we bring the Fab Four back after our segments and we have those conversations, that's when we all shine, and all of our, what is it Aaron calls us, our greatness, our what's he got? What is that?
Zone of greatness?
Zone of greatness. Thank you. I feel that's when it all comes out. And I just want us to have a conversation. And today we are going to do that around last weekend. Last weekend was amazing. We keep saying that. I don't know that we can find a bigger word than amazing. It's hard to describe. We did our fun live Friday and Saturday, and boy, did we work. Yes, we worked hard. We worked a lot. There was not a lot of downtime. There was not a lot of, and everybody, I mean, I feel like everybody was okay with that.
Yeah.
You know,
Before you get too far away from that, I would love to hear that discussion from you guys, because I was curious about that. I know for me, as I was kind of leading things, right, I was looking at the clock a little bit to kind of see where we're at and stuff like that. But I never really got that feeling that anybody was looking at their watch. I mean, if you think about it, gosh, you guys, we got there, 6:45 on Saturday morning. And I think, we walked out of 8020. Gorgeous place, by the way. If you're ever,
absolutely,
you folks that are in the St. Louis, kind of West St. Louis area here, and you ever need a co-working location or somewhere to host something, beautiful place, amazing people. Anyhow, so we started at 6:45. I think 6ish, maybe 5:45, and is when we left, something like that. And we got it. Obviously, we took breaks along the way, so it wasn't like we were just locked in a conference room the whole time. But I think we did a 20-minute lunch. So I'm not good at that math on the fly, but that's got to be at least 10 hours, right?
At least, yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, my question for all of you guys is, what was that feeling like? Where did you kind of fall on that scale? Like you said, we did a lot on both days, but really kind of getting into as many things as we could on Saturday.
Well, and Friday too, because Friday was really about clarifying your why, and there was a lot of work that went into it. If Tanya and I had, Michelle, I feel like maybe had the advantage, Allison some too, but yet finding that why is really the first step. And if you don't have that, some of the other steps don't make sense. And when we broke into those groups on Friday and we were working through them, it was just so awesome to watch. Sarah was in my group for when we broke apart, and she'd been working through her why. She had stuff down, and by the time we were done, it just really flowed for her. And you could just see this aha moment, this emotion of oh, that's exactly what I've been looking for. And it was just so amazing to see that come through. I remember that feeling with mine. Mine really still has not changed. I think I shortened it even just a little bit, but it's all still there for what I need and how I still feel about it. Yeah. And that, those whys do change as we go. I think Tanya can talk about hers or contest to the fact that, things can change and evolve and go from there. So
yeah. Nice. Here we go. Michelle said, I would go for 2 days so we could toss our business questions, procedures around with each other, as I think the event was planned very well and full of information. Yeah, I love that. We were kind of trying to figure, right, where do we land? And like you said about the whys, our reason statements, because we did where everybody kind of worked together. We worked to get to the point. There was a whole process that we worked together on getting there. But then when we came back as the full group, I asked everybody I started off just saying, who would like to share theirs. And I think everybody was so excited about theirs that we ended up just going around the room. And I legit, I'm not just saying this because of how important this program was to me. I legit got goosebumps in everyone's statement because there was an emotional connection. It was like, whether I knew them very well or not, just in the time that we'd had together so far, I could see every bit of that statement in them. And then the way that it was delivered, right? Even some of the folks that it was newer to them, like you said, you guys had a little bit of an advantage. Some folks that was newer to them, it still just kind of rolled off the tongue. Maybe they had to read it the first time, but it just rolled off the tongue. And so to me, that gave me, as Becky would say, all the feels or all the things. So anyhow, any other thoughts on that? Kylene, can you share real quick?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then-
I was just going to say it was just really cool to see or feel the energy in the room, I should say, especially at day one. You have all these people coming in not really knowing what to expect. We all know our goal, right? But you still don't know when you come into a new setting, and to have people come in and immediately connect at a deeper level. For me, that's kind of like, it was magical to see, and the trust that people had with each other, and the willingness to listen to the input and the feedback. Everyone was just open to growing, and to be around that many growth-minded people is, I don't know, it's so powerful. And that's what I really stood out for me, is that everyone was ready to learn and grow together in a supportive way. For me, that was very impactful and very powerful.
For sure. Go ahead,
And
Tanya.
no matter what level you were at, whether like I've been through it a couple of times and have struggled, and mine has changed, like Becky has said, or if you were just coming in for the first time, we really were vulnerable with one another and inspired one another, collaborated with one another, which that makes me happy. And I think we all ended up with some amazing takeaways. And one of them for me was Kylene saying, Tanya, that doesn't go with what your goal is. That's an old thinking. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Becky, Karen Pickering asked, what's your why, if you don't mind sharing?
Yep. I was going to get there when we were to that point. I wanted to highlight, Karen, I'm going to quick come back to that, but I wanted to highlight Michelle's though too. She thought it was great to have Sarah there with a different business type. So for those in the future, all the types of businesses. And that was the one thing we were really going for. I know we're very decorator heavy in who was there. And Sarah was kind of the odd one out because she was the only one that wasn't really decorator.
Yeah. She runs a nonprofit. Yeah.
And it was, it applied to her just as much as it applied to the rest of us. So
yeah.
And back to Karen's question here. So when Aaron and I first started this process, way back when, of course, when he first asked the question, what does everybody say? You're in business to what? Make money.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. And of course, Aaron likes to ask why and keep asking. I don't know how many whys down we were, but
you're questioning how Kylene puts up with it, as I'm guessing.
Sometimes maybe, but it's really it's good to get to that point. So when I got to mine, I had that aha moment. I had that everything. So mine states supporting communities by developing creative, personalized solutions that are appreciated for years to come. So
love it. See, gives me chills.
Tanya, still
would
to
you,
this day.
I know you said yours has been evolving a little bit and whatnot, but any willingness to share here?
Absolutely. We are looking to make some major life changes. So, end all be all, my goal is, and my why is to move to Burlington, Iowa, and find a way to work remotely within the next year. Because that's where we want to end up. We want to not have to be production heavy anymore, but we still want to do our business. So that's what it is.
Nice. So do you have a reason statement that kind of encompasses
your why?
Sure, I do. I can't remember it right now.
I didn't know if you had your
You were headed towards the goals then, Tanya.
Oh, yeah.
Which is good too.
She's already taken action.
Good. She's in action.
Yeah.
She has been.
Our action taker.
Yeah.
I'll find it.
Okay. Kylene, what about you?
Yep. My reason or my why is encouraging positive transformation and motivated people with mind and body healing.
Nice.
I love how that one came out too.
Nice. And then mine is to cultivate an uncommon mindset for proactive small business owners through essential fundamentals to maximize their fulfillment by achieving their goals. And you guys have heard it every time we start here. My one statement is inspire you to fall deeper in love with your business. I wanted to really get down to the core of it. Did you find yours, Tanya?
I did. I was mixed up in my head. That's what lack of sleep does to me. So to inspire positive-minded individuals to take action and embrace a balanced life by utilizing chews, ice, and other wellness techniques.
Wow. Love that. Love that. Awesome.
Great.
Terry has got a quote there, author unknown. Somebody want to pop that up real quick if I can. Yeah. A bird sitting in a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because it trusts is not in the branch, but in the wings. So
Oh, that's awesome.
I love that.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we had workbook that this is, what page is that? 14 pages in. And the first thing we did was find our why, and that's 14 pages into the workbook. But this is kind of the idea, right? We had a whole program where we figured out what our strengths were. That gave us one kind of area of our reason why statement. We looked at what our passions were, which sometimes are similar, but we figured out what the differences between those two were. And then last but not least, in the trifecta of my concentric circles here is going to seem weird, but like we started with what are your pet peeves? What things drive you a little bit nuts? Because there's understanding what our values are can be very challenging. Our subconscious doesn't always work in language, more in feelings. So how do we put words to what our values are? But our human instinct is to find the problems, to look out for danger. And so we can very easily put language to the things that drive us a little bit nuts. And the things that drive us a little bit nuts are just the opposite of what our values are. So we talked about specific details about that. And then inside of that, we looked for patterns. So, if you're sitting there listening in and you're going, man, I'd like to really understand why I'm doing this. You want the quick and easy, dirty. You might not get that much clarity. It might not flow so quickly. I mean, like I said, that's 14 pages in, and we did a lot of work together to get there. But maybe you just need to sit with those three things for a little bit and see what shows up for you. So, any other thoughts on that? Anyone? Okay. All right. So what did we do next, if you guys recall? No, you gotta go to the workbook. Come on now.
We went over like removing blocks.
Yeah.
And then our goals, personal and business.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the removing blocks, right? So it was about what are our limiting beliefs. And again, like I said, you guys were so good about just playing full out and really kind of embracing the whole process, because I think when we're, we go in, we're going to a business retreat. I'm there to, build a business that I love. I'm there to work on my business, right? I want the nuts and bolts. I want the, process, strategy, that kind of thing. Right. And then I sit and throw, oh, well, let's work on limiting beliefs at you right away. Some people might go, oh, that's a little bit strange out there, woo woo. But what did that do for anybody?
More than you'll ever know. So I had done the Breaking Barriers program that you guys have out there actually once prior to coming, and was not expecting. I, just really wasn't expecting to get much out of it, and did. Had a realization that I did not realize was even a thing sitting in my head. So, that came out. And then once again, going through the program again while we're sitting there. And then I believe that was when we broke off into groups of, or pairs, pairs, or whatever. And for me, Allison helped me big time right there. Cool. By just a few words. I don't really want to get into it, but just a few words coming from somebody that really did not know me prior to Friday. And I mean, we've seen each other on, Zoom calls and some messages back and forth in the business group, but to actually have that other person and then other insight coming back at you when you're so stuck in one spot, and just to have that other the other mindset. I mean, it was just that, helped me tremendously.
That's awesome.
It's powerful, isn't it?
It was
just going through that. Yeah.
So Anybody else take anything away from that they wanted to share?
I'm kind of the same.
I mean, obviously.
Oh,
go
Tanya, go
ahead,
ahead.
Tanya.
I need to throw it to you guys. I apologize.
Okay, some of the same thing with that Becky said is that I decided to be really vulnerable with, you know, some of my limiting beliefs, because as I was writing before we broke out, I was like, oh wow, this is where this is coming from. And normally it's something that makes me feel a lot of shame, but I was just really honest in going through my things. And Sarah was like super understanding and had great feedback for me. So it took the stigma of what I was putting on myself and made it more tolerable. So
yeah. And there's that rising tide lifting all boats again. I mean, it really is powerful. Kylene, what were you going to share there?
I was just going to say how sometimes we might think we know where these limiting beliefs come from, or we create the story of something and we don't even realize that it's holding us back. You know, we can do all this work we need, and then all of a sudden those old thought patterns might come back, or you know, those old behaviors that we might have, or thought processes. And so going through this, it's just so powerful to kind of rewrite that story, bring that awareness and learning, and to continue to grow. It's just, I don't know. I just think I keep using the word magical, but really that's the word that I want to describe, because it is a very moving experience.
Yeah.
yes.
Well, it feels magical. I think you're right. I think that's a great way to describe it. Like Becky said, things pop up that you're not expecting. I with the group shared my story of my original encounter with that, and that was 4 years ago, maybe now, Kylene. I can't remember exactly when. Is that how long ago we took our honeymoon?
That was 3 years ago, but
3
yeah.
years ago. Okay, so 3 years ago, when I really had that powerful breakthrough, and you know, I still to this day just thinking about it will get me a little emotional, because it just was so powerful. It was such a limiting factor for me, and it's just unlocked so much. So it really does feel magical. So Karen's got a couple comments here, but let me pop this one up first. When you get a chance, can you tell us about the upcoming program, Opportunity to Remove Limiting Beliefs on Your Terms? And that was the program that Becky referenced just a little bit ago, called Breaking Barriers. So can we play a quick clip, and then we'll come back and have some more conversation here?
Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely.
Let me do that.
Hi, I'm Kylene.
And I'm Aaron from our Success Group.
We understand that feeling of knowing something is holding you back.
Are you watching others succeed and wondering what they have that you don't? There's a secret locked away inside of each of us, yet we never think about fixing it because it has to be something external from ourselves. It is the limiting belief that everyone wants to just push aside and try to hustle and grind harder to get there. But the truth is, those limiting beliefs are keeping you from asking for help, from taking the next step, or doing the action needed to move your business forward.
The sooner you can identify what's holding you back, the sooner you will start achieving your goals. We make sure to provide a safe environment, free of judgment and full of support as you go through this process. We hope you make this investment in yourself and unlock your potential so you can find more meaning and success in your life.
Okay. So we don't make Hollywood level commercials, but it does come from our heart. How about that?
I'm so natural, aren't I?
You're great.
It was awesome. So to answer your question there, Karen, it's available. It's at your own pace, right? So Kylene and I used to do this in more of a kind of a live setting. We'd go on Zoom with a group of people, and then we'd break out into breakout rooms, kind of how I did it originally, how I went through it originally. But we really learned a lot and got a lot of great feedback from that, where we wanted to be able to allow people that space and that comfort zone, right? They can do this in the comfort of their own, close the doors, nobody else can be around. They can really settle into it. You know, the tears start coming, the laughs start coming, whatever shows up for you, you can let it happen. And then from that space, then they're able to make a lot more breakthroughs but then they know that there's plenty of support there. So we're there to support them all the way. You get an opportunity to have a one-on-one call with Kylene if you'd like. We highly encourage that. It's obviously your choice to how much action you take, but that's there for you. All of the things that you need. And then the great part is anytime you feel stuck, you just go right back to it. You go back to the guided meditation, you go back to whatever part you need. And so I'm really proud of what we put out there. If you guys want to go to osg.link/unlock, you get 25% off with the code OSG Live for those that are OSG Live listeners. So,
and with that follow-up call, that 30-minute call, as they were saying, that reflection when you share your experience with another person, sometimes that is like where that different insight comes into play. And so, yes, it's going to be beneficial for you, but that's just that extra step to kind of really go a little bit deeper into it.
Awesome. All right. So kind of second half of the program-ish here, you guys. Let's keep breaking it down. Now, one thing I wanted to share with the listeners that are tuned in here, right? This is not us. I mean, obviously we're all excited about it. We were coming back. We were stoked. So there's definitely a lot of passion in there, but this is not a, hey, you missed it, so nanner, right? This is because if you're listening to this, if you're hearing kind of this process that we're going through, you can actually start putting this into action right now, right? Get ahead of the game. Maybe you'll be ready to sign up the next time this rolls around, but think about this, right? So as I mentioned, most people want to get into like, oh, how do I do this thing? How do I make this piece of equipment work? How do I do this social media thing, right? And all good stuff. We need to understand that. We need to figure that out. But if you do that first, it's going to be overwhelming. You're going to be frantic. We got to build this foundation. And so that's why we felt like it was so crucial to really get our reason down. So that way everything else flows from that and we can make decisions more quickly off of that. Then we had to get rid of anything that was standing in our way from actually becoming successful. And then we got into goals. So Tanya, you want to kind of start us off there, and then Becky, maybe you can follow up there.
Sure. We went through and we did goals lists both on personal and business side, and they were broken down by do, be, and have. And when you start thinking about this, sometimes it's not easy. Things that you want, but then some of them might seem silly, or you just can't think of them during that time. So I think some of us struggled with the goals list either on the personal or the business side at first. I know I didn't fill everything in on the business side necessarily. I do need to go back and I want to just kind of go over everything again, but it was really eye-opening to figure those things out. And it ended up being, to prioritize your list later, it was very helpful to go into all that. So, and that's how you kind of come to your first draft of what your most important goals are, because you ended up rating your goals after you determine like a time frame. So there was like a lot of methodical steps with it.
Yeah. And when we go to our number one goal, it's not about going, oh, well, you've got, I think in the workbook, there was like 72 spots for 72 different goals, both business and personal, right? In the Success Principles book, Jack Canfield encourages you to write 101 different goals down. It's not to say, well, let's pick one goal and then that's all you're going to accomplish. It's to say, let's get focused on that. And then the other goals will start happening too. You start building that momentum. So anyhow, Becky, what would you take from it?
Well, that was one big spot that I kind of got stuck at, because as you're like, here, fill out this list. I'm like, I don't know. I haven't obviously dreamed big enough now at this point, because my goals were not, I have a lot of blank spots in those 72
that's fine.
Things. And so I'm okay with it. It's fine, but it was really one of those that just kind of was like, it really made you stop and think, like, how do I start visualizing this stuff a little bit better and taking that time to, I heard you say this earlier in our group was, the slow down to speed up part, and it's like, okay, we have all these things coming at us, but if we really don't know where we're actually moving forward to, are we actually moving forward? And so, but if you don't really know, if you can't come up with that goal, there's nothing to move forward to. So this was the one thing that I was wishing I would have had a little time at home with, just to have had more than 3 minutes. I don't know. Aaron was very, very strict sometimes. We only got 2 minutes for 3 minutes, 5, 7.
The farthest thing from strict. I think I maybe said 3 minutes, and I probably gave you 15. But,
I know. Yes, you did. But all of a sudden, when you hear you got 3 minutes to complete this, I mean, your brain just goes blank. Yeah. And so, but still, there is method to that madness a little bit, though, because I don't want you to overthink it, right? Because when we start overthinking it, now we start putting goals in there that we think somebody else, like, well, I better set a goal of having $1 million a year business, otherwise I don't have a real business. That's not true. Like, what if your goal is to have a side gig that pays for vacations? Make that your goal, right? If your goal is so your goals are your goals, and a lot of times if we kind of are like shocked into just going with it, then there's a lot of value that comes from that, because all you have is what's deep inside of you, what's actually just showing up for you. I expected that there would be a lot of blanks, and because then, like we said, slow down to speed up. Now you can go back and sit with it, and now you're going to let some other things show up, and you might fill in a list. Who knows? Maybe your number one goal changes a little bit. So, Kylene, what's your take here? Oh, well, did you have something, Tanya? Before,
I was just going to say that my original potential number one goal was actually something that is kind of easy and I'm going to do anyway, and that was seeing my grandbaby more often. So even though that ended up being like the number one ranked thing, I did end up changing it, because it was what I changed it to would end up helping with that as well, but a broader thing with more milestones.
Yeah, it gets you in there. Yeah, go ahead, Kylene.
I think for me on this, getting to that number one goal, I worked on this a lot at the beginning of the year, and I know I've heard you say it so many times, but when you're in an environment like that, sometimes you have your moments, and you kept saying, make the most important thing the most important thing. And that really helped me get into the right mindset. Okay, what's going to get me to that next step? What's going to start the momentum, as you say, and push my flywheel, right? Keep going forward. And so for me, my big goal before was kind of messy. I didn't connect with it. It wasn't clear enough. So for me, that was really powerful. Hearing that in that moment, and then just all the other parts to it. So I was really able to get clear on my number one goal.
Love it.
Really awesome.
Yes, definitely. Karen mentioned, Karen's a fellow Success Principles trainer, working on her certificate there. And she asked, is your number one goal your breakthrough goal? And in the Canfield world, they call that big goal, that number one goal, the breakthrough goal. So yeah, I would consider it that. I actually call it a turning point goal. But again, I knew that this, in the time that we had allotted what we were doing, I wanted to have us have something that we could focus on, and I didn't want you guys to feel like you were stuck on it, right? You talked about the grandbaby. Michelle said it was magical, even though my number one goal is personal. I'll have all the tools to set business goals in 90 days, right? And so because they all work together, right? Just because you've got a personal goal or a business goal or whatever, that doesn't matter. If you're achieving something, right, you're getting something out of the way, and you're making space to then achieve the next thing. And so maybe it is that you need to have a personal goal first in certain situations. And, I'm super proud of Michelle for latching onto that and running with that, right? She didn't feel like she had to do a business goal, even though we were at a quote unquote business retreat, right? So I think that's really powerful, what Michelle shared and what you shared there, Tanya, for people to understand that you can't get it wrong. So stop worrying about what your number one goal is, and just follow your gut. Go after what you really want and see what happens.
Yep.
All right. Let's see here. What else do we got? So that was kind of ish day one and the start of day two, really kind of getting into the goals. Then we started getting into the nuts and bolts. And again, for those of you that are listening that are going, okay, I came here to learn something. There's plenty to learn if you're willing to pick it out here. What did we do next? What stood out for you guys next? And Becky, I'll start with you.
Well, once we found that goal, then it was a matter of like learning how you're going to measure it and get to that goal, the milestones and for lack of a better term, all the things, right? I'm going to say that. I guess I say it all the time and I didn't even know it. So I'm just going to keep saying it because now every time I try not to say it, I say it anyways. So,
and we all say it now too.
We do. But I think the hard part was like some of our goals couldn't be measured with a number or some of that kind of stuff. And so finding those metrics and those ways to say, okay, this is how I achieved a goal, or this is how I'm going to measure that I've gotten to this goal, was very helpful for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because if we don't have that scoreboard, right, then it's hard to kind of, because part of the process, and not that we meant to gloss over this, but there's so much that we can pack in and we've only got a limited time, but part of the process is really celebrating the steps that you are taking along the way. Right. Mm-hmm. And one of the other things we looked at was just really clearly visualizing what your goal is. And I think exactly what you're saying there, Becky, this concept of, okay, let's break it down into something that we can actually, all of these things that we're talking about, all these things that I love talking about, these big feeling-y things, right? We still need to definitely get our arms around it and be able to actually, in a way, touch and feel the things. And having a metric, a milestone to measure gives us that tangible thing that we can hold on to and use to continue to pull us forward. So, Tanya, anything else about that?
No, I think that really sums it up. And going through like confirming your number one goal, the questions that were asked, what has worked for me in the past, and then for me, it was like turning that back around of, well, hustle and grind has worked in the past, but I'm tired. I don't want to hustle and grind anymore.
So what part of hustle and grind worked maybe, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then
massive action, by the way. Sorry.
What I really found was that I lack taking action. I promote everyone else, but not myself. And I have all these great ideas that I never act upon. So as Michelle said in a message to me, either yesterday or earlier today, take messy action.
There you go. And what I it said, if the hustle and grind is what worked for you in the past, the hustle and grind part is what'll make you overwhelmed and tired, like you said. But what was working most likely was the massive amounts of action. Just when you're hustling and grinding, you don't have time to think about what you're doing or anything like that. You're just one action after the next. And, that can be sustainable if you come at it from a different perspective. Yes. So, All right. Kylene, what about you?
Well, the whole VAST method, like really truly visualizing or achieving your goal, for me, really puts it in perspective. I've had the same image since we started doing this, and it just gets clearer and clearer. And, the same song still shows up for me when I achieve my goal. And for me, that excites me again, because then it does feel believable. And that's what we need to have as we go into getting the specifics, right? The specifics of what we are doing. And then we know what to measure too.
Also,
that's what showed up for me.
Like how you go about it, doing the affirmations, affirming what, stating things in an affirmative way. What really struck me is that, it's about action, and attraction has action in it. And I never realized that. So now that's going to stick with me. Because action does seem to be like my major issue in the last whatever. So going over like the laws of attraction and affirmations and things like that, where a few years ago I would have thought that they were really out there and woo-woo. the gratitude, doing affirmations, doing tapping, things like that really bring me forward and give me that dopamine hit, celebrating every little thing. I say that all the time. Having some sort of a reward system is just huge with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're not going to have time to get through every single little nook and cranny, but I think we got the major. Again, you get those foundations, you get those fundamentals in place, right? Your why. You understand how to remove limiting beliefs, right? Which is basically reigniting your self-trust, and then you become a goal getter, right? You really kind of understand what your goal is. You have very clear methods, and that gets you so much of the way there, right? But then the cool part is now we've got 6, 7 other fundamentals that we can start layering on top of those things, right? And so again, I don't think we've got time to get into all of that, but I'd love to hear those of you that are tuned in live right now, or if you're maybe listening in later as a replay, what questions do you have? What would be useful for you sitting on that side of the screen to hear from us as it relates to this, as it relates to anything about falling deeper in love with your business? We would love to hear from you guys. Becky, I think we've got a couple of comments there to hit too. So
I'm going to go back up to Karen's from earlier that said, Aaron, I loved your encouragement. When times are tough, to not be discouraged and feel like I need to get a job, but to find a path to success with my business.
Yeah.
That's,
Can I talk about that real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because this actually speaks a lot to what Tanya, you talk about with the choose thing too. Like in that whole thing, right? Not be discouraged and all that stuff. When we think of choose, sometimes at least for me, sometimes I really go, oh yeah, I got to choose the better things and the good things, right? But the reality is, every single moment you're choosing something, and so we can choose to let that thing block us, or we can choose to get frustrated. We can choose to believe the limiting belief story, right? Like that's all part of every day. And no, it sounds very simple. Oh, all I got to do is choose. Well, yeah, all you got to do is choose, but it's a constant intentional thing that we have to be aware of. And unfortunately, there's so much going on in our worlds that being constantly aware and being intentional about that can be very challenging, right? Like that's why they always talk about these people that are so enlightened, right? Because they can get to that point where all the distractions don't get to them, right? But I know for me, my brain's constantly going, right? It's on autopilot in places. And so my whole point for this whole thing and in that encouragement and choosing and that type of thing is whatever is in front of you, if I can at least get you to take and understand that absolutely what's going on right now is absolutely true. It's absolutely your reality in this moment. But if you can let go of whatever that means and then figure out a solution or be willing to push, then everything changes, right? It's not going to make it easier. It's not going to get rid of all the bad things, right? Like Tanya, I think you're a great example of this, right? You talked about the fact that you had this laptop and the files, right? And in that moment, right, you said, well, I felt like that was holding me back, right? And so in that moment, that's what you were choosing, and you were okay with that, right? But you also were able to recognize that, okay, that was a limiting factor, and so maybe next time I could choose something different. So
yeah, sometimes it's very healthy to choose the negative thing just in the short term, so that you can face it and move on.
Just process it, yeah.
There's been many times where I've chosen anger, to be angry at the situation, but then I can take a deep breath and move on, and then I can choose to look at like what could potentially come from the bad situation type thing. Yeah. Like now, I will always have my files backed up because
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And that's now something that, you're able to share with others to help them keep from going through. I mean, there's all sorts of things that could come out of it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think and so I guess going back to what Karen had mentioned, right? That's why I'm encouraging people to look. I'm not saying that that's what you shouldn't do. If you get to a point where you've got to go back and get a job, there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's life is going to happen. And it's just up to us to kind of figure out how we want that to happen to us. Yeah. Are we going to accept it? Or are we going to, go crawl in a hole, right? Like we've got choices. So, yeah. So
Rena said, along with that, having the tools to get through the tough times has been life-changing for me. And that's totally agree. I've added a lot of tools with you guys from joining our success group and starting with the masterminds and stuff. I've added a lot of tools that have helped me move forward. Yeah. So Karen's other message here states, it's easy to get charged up at these events. It's keeping the excitement going when times get tough.
Yeah.
And that is so true. For our event here, I know Aaron was gracious enough to add on some check-in calls, I guess, for lack of a better term there.
Yep.
So that we can check in with each other to see where we're sitting and who's having trouble or who needs help for that. And then to piggyback off of that, that's where the mastermind groups come in. It has been so powerful to be part of the mastermind group, to have that accountability. And I know there's weeks that I'm like, I didn't do anything. And yet I did, just not celebrating it probably enough. Or maybe I didn't set a good enough goal for myself, or one that was pushing me outside of that comfort zone to try to get done. I'm trying to work on that. I know sometimes I set the easy goals and go, hey, I made it. Sometimes don't even hit the easy goals because I forget to check into Slack, but it's still having that accountability. And for us with the mastermind every other week, and then having our check-ins throughout the week, it's back to asking for help when you need it, and that's a hard one to do, but yet when you start asking and realize that the rising tide lifts all boats, and we are all there to answer that ask in the best way that we can.
I like it.
So awesome on there, Tanya. That's what I don't know. Masterminds are the way to go. I wish I'd have found them sooner. So
yeah. I really feel like I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for the constant encouragement and different perspectives. Because we've talked about the stories we create some, and it can keep us stuck, and this just accelerates it even more.
Well, and not only just the encouragement, but the gentle nudge of, are you thinking in an old way, or is that really going to get you to where you're going to reach your goal? And those are the relationships, the collaboration that we've met with this. And the big difference between what this retreat was compared to other things I've been to is that we were actually working on our own things. Yes, we were sharing them with others and getting help from others, but we did such an amazing amount of work on our own stuff during this time that we could come home and get right back to it. Granted, I, like Becky, haven't done a lot this week with it because we had a really long travel day on Monday, and then getting back to all the things. The rest
I have a comment on that though. Sorry.
Okay.
Because what, and maybe I didn't tell you guys this enough. What you don't know maybe is that even though you haven't like physically maybe done something with it, you are doing a lot with it. And so that's the other thing to kind of let go of. Sometimes the best work that you do is not doing anything with it, right? And just letting your subconscious go to work on it. And I heard something today that was hugely impactful for me. A gentleman, actually a mentor of mine, said that a lot of times we kind of ask our subconscious the wrong question, right? He said, most of the time we go, if, right? We kind of go, well, we put that kind of like, I don't know. But if we go, how do I overcome this challenge? And then just let it be, things are happening. So anyhow, I didn't mean to interrupt you totally, but that
that's fine.
Stood out to me. I was like, man, there's a reason he said that to me today. Okay, got it. So back to you, Tanya.
Just that there's so much stuff that you take away right away.
Yeah.
And then even the future you party acting as if, granted, I was like mentally exhausted by that point. So I was kind of like in a zone, but it was hugely impactful to put yourself 5 years later and hear everyone else putting themselves 5 years later. And I was really proud of everyone for playing full out. Because it's not an easy thing, especially if you haven't done it before, like we've done it in mastermind calls. But
Sure.
If you haven't been in those, it's sometimes a little bit hard in that situation. But if you, even in your daily life, put yourself, okay, where am I going to be 5 years from now, and what does that look like?
Yeah.
Just start thinking about that, manifest that.
Yeah, 100%. Love it.
I have one last thing before we move into our ice, but I want to thank Aaron for the autograph page in our book. I had a sneak peek of that when we were looking at the workbook before we got there, and I just thought it was so cool. And honestly, in my brain, when I saw the autograph, I'm like, oh, everybody's just going to write their name, big deal. Man, I tell you what, that is such a treasure to have now, to go back and look and read what everybody had to say. It's just like going back to high school and writing in the yearbook, and it was just fun. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
it is a treasure.
That was a
nice touch.
Subconscious brain solution that showed up for me. So love it. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and close this up. I know ice and choose, and so take us there, Tanya.
All right. Well, ICE stands for Inspire, Collaborate, and Encourage. And those are three things that just warm my heart. It came about in 2020, right around Jay's heart attack. And it's really brought me a lot of joy to address those three things. So out of that came choose. And so I encourage everyone, and myself included, to choose what I need as often as I need it. So if I need joy, hope, love, if I need to be angry, I'll choose anger for a while. So I love visual tools. So I have these choose boards, and I know Aaron has the link. Otherwise we can put it up later. But today I choose messy action versus doing nothing, because taking action has been a huge problem for me. And the choose boards come in either the big size, like this is like roughly 8x10. Otherwise I have travel ones too that I usually have in my laptop.
Cool. There you go.
All right. I'm choosing action. That's what I need, and that's what I'm choosing. So that is in front of me. So
yay.
All right. Becky?
Well, just as we were getting started, I quick texted Cora because, of course, she has a phone now. Bless her heart and her text messaging options for me. I said, do you have anything for the choose board? Here, I think it would be better if I actually just read you her message, because it's Cora fashion. So I had said, do you want something on your choose board? And she says, yes. I think it will be faith. Thank you. Love you. Bye. Also, write love you on it. Thank you. Love you. Bye. But write, in order to write, was right like I did it right. So I love it. It's just, it makes me giggle, and she runs on, and yes, I love her. I can hear her voice when she does it. It just, anyways, faith was her ultimate one for this week. Mine is intention.
Yay.
We haven't had that pop up as much lately, and I just was really feeling I need some intention.
There you go. Love it. All right. Well, I don't have my choose board back out of my backpack yet, because I had it there at the event with me, so I won't have any cool thing to show you, but I think I'm going to go with just, I don't know, letting go, right? Just kind of lots of things coming up, lots of opportunities to be anxious, and you know what? I'm just going to lay it at God's feet and do my best to show up as my best self. So we'll leave it there for right now. I do have a link up there at the bottom, oursuccessgroup.com/links. You can find the choose boards from there, a lot of the other things that are going on, all of our connection points and stuff like that. So head over there to oursuccessgroup.com/links. And then somehow this comment showed up again. Is it gentle nudges?
Hilarious.
All right. For being a turd. But
we actually, after the event, the four of us had a chance to sit down and we got together for lunch with a couple of the other people. And then later that day, we had a really nice like debrief and went over some things. So there are some changes coming to the podcast, as well as figuring out when the next one will be. So
absolutely. Love it. Okay. Well, good job, everybody. And again, let us know what you guys want. Let us know what you'd love to hear. There we go. Mm-hmm. Michelle says, today I choose messy action. Let us know what you'd like to hear. Let us know if you like this new format where it's just a little bit more conversational, less kind of segmented, and then I think what happens is we have opportunities where every once in a while we might pop something in, or we'll do a separate thing over in the Fall in Love with Your Business Facebook group. If you're not a member over there, make sure you go check that out, right? And get into that group for us and be part of those conversations. And so anyhow, anything else that we missed?
No, I think that we did a good job covering it.
I love it.
It was an amazing event, Rena, and we certainly missed you. So hopefully we'll see you at the next one when we get that one out there. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Days overwhelmed, trapped in a maze. Small business owner, stress had me in a daze. Every problem piled up, couldn't catch a break. Thought I couldn't make it, my dreams were at stake. But then I found a group that changed my whole perspective. Our success group of a community so effective. We all chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we broke